G'day guys, how we going? Well, geez, a few of you on already. Craig, g'day guys, how we going there? Biggles and Dave. Assuming you can't, everything can hear what's going on here at the moment. Hopefully it's all loud and clear what's happening here tonight. What this topic tonight's going to be about is camping gear list for beginners, for those people just starting out or those people that are, maybe looking to dabble into camping and, a bit daunting about how much gear you're going to need and what you're going to need. So this is a bit of a follow-on, loud and clear. I like to hear that. Thanks very much, Western Australian. Thanks very much, guys, there for dropping in all the way from WA. Good on you, Joe. Good going on there. So where we're going to go with this tonight. So this is a bit of a follow-on from my video last week for those of you who may have seen it, where, I did a video there. I outlaid all the camping gear that I've got and, well, there's not a great deal of it because it's pretty simple, my setup, and that's just the way I like it. So this is a bit of a follow-on from that. And then, for those guys that are, just getting started, or maybe there's a lot of people out there, that are maybe thinking about getting into this camping lifestyle, the one we all like to go and do, sit by a fire, mountain rivers and all that sort of stuff, and just kick back and enjoy the serenity. This Fettingham's going to be a cracking video for you. Now, there's going to be a little bit of passion that's going to drive this video tonight. So hang in with me and hopefully you're going to stick around the end because I've got a list here that's going to, we're going to get right through all of this. Now, with this current climate that we're working in at the moment, there's probably going to be a lot of people. You look at the camper trailer market, camping market. All the camping accessories. It is going through the roof. Yeah, fair enough. You can't travel overseas at the moment, and that's probably a big reason as to why. This camping lifestyle is just going through the roof. It's going off its head, but there's also, after this is all over, there's still going to be a lot of people, I reckon, they're going to want to just kick back and just want to, get some basic gear and get out there, sit by a mountain river for a weekend, enjoy the serenity, and then come back and forget about, while you're out there, forget about the life of everything that you've left behind. Go out there, kick back, relax, and really enjoy it where you are, and then come back and then you got to deal with all the stuff that you left behind. But this video is going to be right up there for you. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to break down even more from the video that I did last week, from, just showing you my gear and that sort of stuff. And I've got a list here that we're going to go all the way through it. And by the end of it, I reckon those people looking to get started, or, there might be even some experienced people that have maybe missing some gear. You might get something out of this as well. So stick around and let's go forward as to when you need to buy this gear. But I just want to jump in and one really important thing here. When you're looking to buy gear, fair income, don't let anyone tell you that you must have this, you must have the latest and greatest and all that sort of gear, because fair income, you don't. And by the time we go through this, you will see why fair income you don't. And you decide what sort of gear you need and how flash you want to go with it. Don't let anyone tell you you must get this, because what they've got might not suit you in the sort of style of camping that you want to go and do. So let's get into this. And again, no uncertain order on what you're going to do here. But having said all this, I've got some dot points here of all the gear that you're potentially going to need, all right? But at the end of the day, you decide how flash that gear needs to be for you. But at the end of the day, this stuff we're going to go through tonight, yeah, you're going to need it, but you decide how flash it's going to be. It can be very basic to the upper extremes, but you work that out. Don't let anyone else work that out for you. You work it out. So let's get into the first one. So the first one tonight is water storage. Now, yep, we all need water storage when we go camping. Doesn't matter where you're going, any parts of Australia, yep, you need some kind of water storage. Now, I don't know if you've seen the videos that I've done and the setup that I've got. It's just a 20-litre jerry can in the back of my four drive, and it's gravity feed, no power required, and feeding them, it works an absolute treat. And you can look at something like that. I think that setup cost me under $100 to get that set up with the jerry can and the hose and the fittings and all that sort of stuff. And feeding them, it works an absolute treat. Gravity feed, no power required at all. But then, you can look at, bladders. I've not looked into the bladders, but I've heard of a few people, using water bladders and that kind of stuff, to carry water, for their drinking water and that kind of thing. And, and there's some power operated options too, especially with jerry cans too. You can get some, little electric pumps and just flick a switch and, and your water comes out that way. So, there again, there's the absolute extreme. So you go with your water storage, something like what I've got, which is just super basic, but works an absolute treat. No power required or gravity feed, but works an absolute treat. Or you can go for something with the similar sort of setups where you can get it all hooked up with electrics and push a button and and your water comes out that way. So there's some options. There's the first option there, because that's a really important one, is water. You've got to take water when you go camping. So you work that out as to what you think might be the best setup for you. From power to non-powered is the way to go. Righto. The next one I've got here is, you're going to need something to cook your dinners on and your lunches on and that sort of stuff. Now, you've got 2 options here, or 3 options here. There's not really many. You either do it on the campfire like I do pretty much 99% of the time, other than total fireban days, or if it's pouring down rain, I'll take a gas stove. But other than that, you do what I do on the campfire, or you get your take a gas stove or butane cookers and those sort of things. So there's only 3 options there, pretty much, with cooking, unless some of you guys have got some better options. Which we'll get into, way down the track, as to, really blow this out of the water. Or, you want to go to really some extreme sort of stuff. But so there you go. What I want to do here, guys, I want to try and keep this sort of on topic here tonight too. And if you got any extra comments, please chuck them in the comments down below related to this, and feeding them. I'll get back to them, or I'll reply to them a bit later on down the track, because there's comments coming through here all the way through. So it's great, the feedback that's coming in, but I really want to try and keep this on topic until we get a fair bit through it. So there's your water, there's your cooking, 2 pretty main items you need to go camping, right? And pretty basic if you want to go basic, or the next stage up. So next one I've got here is, now, do you need a full drive to go camping? The shorter answer is no, you don't. Fair income, no, you don't. And look, we welcome anyone. I don't know what you guys think, but fair income, we welcome anyone to go camping and, enjoy the Great Australian Bush, as long as we all respect it and do the right things. But fair income, you don't need a full drive. Yeah, it helps. But no, you don't need a full drive to go camping. There's so many places where you can go camping with a 2-wheel drive. As far as in the high country, I'm not sort of much talking greatly around Australia, but we're pretty much going to relate this around high country sort of a stuff. We head out through Lacola. You got a couple of caravan parks there for a start if you want a caravan park option. You got Paradise Valley as you head out towards Lacola there. And Lacola Caravan Park, there's another one. Both on the McAllister River there, fantastic sites there. If you want that sort of arrangement, just go there, kick back, relax, and enjoy, your surrounds there, sitting by the McAllister River. Other than that, you head out of Lacola along Tambaretha Road, and there's 12, 14 free campsites right smack on the Wellington River. And they're all got pretty much drop toilets. Again, 2-wheel drive, bitumen road access all the way through, but fair income, absolutely beautiful site. So there's some options there if you've only got a 2-wheel drive and you're looking to get into the camping side of it. And then when you go to Dargo, you got the back of the Dargo pub, or you can head up the Dargo High Plain Road to down into Italian Flat, and a little bit further along to Jimmy's and those sort of places too. Again, all only 2-wheel drive access to get into all of those. And then you got your Brights and Myrtlefords, and over the other side there in Mansfield, and and especially around that Bright side, out along the Buckland Valley, Buckland River. There's some great sites out along there. Again, all 2-wheel drive access. But if you want to expand and go and look a bit further outside those campsites, well, this is where a full drive comes into the equation, all right? So, so you're going to have to weigh that sort of thing up. So, if you want to go a bit further than just your campsite, well, this is where a full drive comes in. But if you just want to go back out there, buy a bit of basic camp gear and sit by a river, no, you don't need a full drive to go and enjoy the beautiful surrounds of the amazing bush that we've got to go out there and enjoy. So that's that one there, done and dusted. The next one, now this is an important one too. It's accommodation. So what are you going to sleep in when, if you thought you just looking about maybe get started out into, this camping lifestyle, and you're thinking, what am I going to sleep in? Am I going to buy a tent, going to buy a rooftop tent, going to buy a swag? What am I going to get? Well, again, there's options, plenty of options there, and plenty of brands to go there and look at. So again, you need to check out that too. And then, whether you're going to sleep on the ground. We've had this discussion in my last couple of videos with my swag as to why I sleep on the ground. But, then you got to work out what sort of, what sort of bedding you're going to put, you're going to take, whether you're going to take air stretches or air beds or, or stretches off the ground and all that sort of stuff. So again, it can be very, very simple from just a rollout swag like what I've got, or the double swags, whatever, and very, very simple setup. Or you could, if you need to get into something a bit more advanced and get into camper trailers, that sort of stuff, well, that's a whole different ball game again down the track. But again, that's just getting started. That gets through to the first page. How are we going, guys? Forward of access to places on private property. My heaven. Oh, I don't know where they are. Righto. The next one to go with your sleeping accommodation. Hang on, I just got to have a drink here because feeding them, we're going off here. We've got a lot to get through, but we're going to get through it all. And if you're getting some value out of this, I hope there's a few of you getting some good value out of this, because feeding them, there's some feedback coming through left, right, and centre. Give us a thumbs up. That'd be greatly appreciated. Righto. So the next one to go with the accommodation side of it is what sort of a bedding is going to be required for you. You're a beginner getting started. How much bedding do I need to go camping? Well, again, that's something you got to work out. That is absolutely something that no one else can tell you about, because, you've got to work out your own body temperatures and how you deal with cold and how you deal with heat and all that sort of stuff as to what you take and how much you take. But there's a big thing you got to take into account. So we'll get through the first one. So sleeping bags, that's certainly a good option. If you just want to get started out, some really compact sleeping bags. There's plenty of good sleeping bags out there that can deal with, pretty sub-zero temperatures. So there's some good options there to look into sleeping bags, compact, lightweight, and don't take up a great deal of room. And then you get into the blanket side of it. Well, I roll all my blankets up in my swag, as you very much saw. If those guys, you've seen my video that I did there the other week about my swag roll up, well, my blankets and everything all stay inside it, so I don't have to store those in my full drive, which is great. But blankets, they're one of those things, they are, if you're going to take blankets, especially this time of year when it's cold and that sort of stuff, you're going to need a fair few of them. So, and they're big, bulky things, so they're going to take up a fair bit of room depending on how many people you're sort of catering for. So there's something else you got to deal with is blankets. The foam or air mattress is one that I sort of mentioned before, as far as sleeping on. With foam mattress, only thing with those is, again, they're going to take up a fair bit of room by the time you roll them all up and then find a spot for those inside your full drive or your vehicle, whatever. Other than that, the air mattress, they get, by the time you let all the air out, well, they're going to squash up pretty compact. So there's some good options there. But again, this is all stuff that you need to really sit down and think about for a while as to, how you think you might, what sort of gear you might need, because you've got to also work out as to how much gear you go and buy, particularly if you're starting out, because you might not enjoy it. You might go and buy the latest and greatest gear and all the fandangle gear, and then, you might only last 2-3 weeks or a month or two, and then you decide, oh, this is not for me. Then you got all this fancy gear you got to get rid of. Well, what do you do with it? So just go through this list that we're going through tonight and just work on some of the basics of that list and see if you're going to enjoy the camping lifestyle. And I don't know why anyone wouldn't enjoy it, and there's plenty of people going to probably back me up with this one. But so that's that one. So that's the sleeping arrangement, the bedding arrangement. The next one, now this is kind of a big one too, and I've been asked about this one just in a couple of the Facebook Live I did only the other night, and that's a camp chair. Now, some people might think, camp chair, no great big deal, but a fair income, it is a big deal. And a camp chair is one of those things that needs to be comfortable for the time you're going to sit in it, because if you're getting away just for an overnight or, the weekends or whatever, every time you sit around the campfire, you're going to be in that camp chair for anywhere up to 4 to 6 hours. And that's pretty reasonable, I think, unless there's probably some people going to probably doubt they wouldn't spend it at that time. And if you're going to do an all-nighter, well, you might be in that camp chair a lot longer than 4 to 6 hours. So, that's the thing you got to take into account. And your camp chair's got to be comfortable. And this is a big one. And Finningham, go out there and go to the camp stores. I don't know about buying these things online, but even though I did, and I don't know if it's a great idea or not, but go to the camp stores and pull down as many off the racks and sit in them and see what you reckon and see how you're going to go. If they're comfortable right off the bat, well, then that's great. But other than that, you got to think about yourself 4-6 hours and beyond down the track, because you're going to be still sitting in that same camp chair. And they're fitting, and there's nothing worse sitting around a beautiful campfire with a bunch of great people having a great night, and you are uncomfortable in your chair, because it's not going to be a great night at all. So make sure you do your homework and spend some time on a camp chair, because it's nearly as important as getting your bedding right. Let me give you the drum. So yeah, camp chairs are a big one. So the next one now is a camp table. Now, we're all going to need some sort of a camp table, to prepare all your meals and all that sort of stuff on. So it depends on how big and, that sort of thing you're going to go. I don't know. Don't go out and buy some big camp table that's, couple of meters long, because, you're probably not going to need that much room, to spread out, a bit of a chopping board, couple of plates, whatever, and, a few knives and forks, prepare a meal on it. So the less compact it is, like my camp table that I've got, which you've seen in plenty of my videos, it's 1,200 long, so 120 centimeters long is my camp table. And you know what? Sometimes I think even that is maybe a little bit too long. I could probably downsize maybe a little bit if I could find one suitable for, to downsize just a little bit. Because the bigger the camp table you got to measure, you got to remember, they can be pretty heavy things. So you need to take that into account too, and really look at how they fold up. That's the big key, is how much space is that camp table going to take up in your room. And that's another one with camp chairs too, and that's another reason why I've got the camp chair that I've got, because, that director style camp chair, it's really compact and doesn't take up a great deal of room. And that's one certainly very benefit with it. Other than that, check out your camp tables and see how they fold up, how they pack up, how much room they've got. Because don't look at them in the shop and think, this great big camp table, how great is this? Let's grab that. And then you go and pack it up and you think, okay, now where are we going to put it? So you got to really look at that as well. Look at the size of it, look at how compact it's going to be, and how heavy it is another big thing too. And that's the thing with all of my gear, as I showed you, with that video I did last week, with all my camp gear, everything Fair Income is based around weight. Weight is the number one key to my whole camp setup. Everything is based around weight, and I've reduced all my camp gear down to what it is, all around weight. So we'll go into this a bit more as we go forward too. So because weight is fitting them, it is number one killer to any four-wheel drive with everything, with the amount of trips we go and do and the amount of gear we take. Weight is key. So take that one into account when you're looking to maybe get started, or you've been doing camping for a little while. Think about weight, because it's a fitting them. It's a big one. Righto. What is the next one I've got here? Righto. So camp cooking and eating utensils. Now, yep, you've all got to eat. You've got to eat with something, and unless you're going to eat with your hands or a couple of sticks, you're going to pluck off a tree out in the bush and use them for forks and stuff. So you're going to need knives and forks and spoons at least, right? So for me, I go away a lot by myself, as you do see. And I've got two of everything. Excuse me. So I've got 2 knives, 2 forks, and 2 spoons. Done. And the reason why I've got 2 of everything when it's just me, is because, I might prepare a breakfast or something, or lunch or whatever, and, it could be crappy weather, and think, I can't be bothered doing dishes. Well, then I've got a clean set for dinner that night, or even the same, I might get, dinner that night done and dusted, and, the weather might turn a bit ordinary and I can't be bothered doing dishes. So I'll do them maybe the next day or the night before. Well, I've already got another set of knives, forks, spoons for the next day. So if you just, depending on how many people you're taking away, only take what you need. So that's how I work out my knives and forks and spoons. I just take sort of 2 of everything in that case. And then sharp knives, I've got a couple of those, as you might have seen in the video where I opened up my camp boxes there. You see the couple of sharp knives I've got in the lid of one of my camp boxes there. And then in my little box there that I've got with all my knives and forks and that sort of stuff in it, I've got a couple of little smaller sharp knives, from a couple of serrated ones to, a couple of little smooth sharp knives there too. And that is plenty. You don't need to bring a whole Fennicum, a whole knife block and all the fancy knives and sharp knives and that sort of stuff, because the knives I've got will do the same job as those ones, and half the weight, half the room, half of everything. So there's another one there you also need to take into account when it comes to your utensils, is weigh it all up to that sort of stuff too. Like I don't know how many of you people have. I don't even have a can opener in my kit. Now, there's not too many cans these days that require a can opener. I think where days are gone. We're gone past the can opener days where, you got to crank it on and then, undo your can that way. Those days are done and dusted. I think everything now is ring pull of some sort. So you don't even need a can opener in your kit these days, which is a bit of a tragic shock, I've got to tell you. But anyway, we move on with the times, and that's the way it goes. But no can opener in my kit at all. So there we go. So that gets rid of that list. We're getting through it. Don't worry about that. And I greatly appreciate you guys all sticking through. Dad, how you going there, mate? And Aussie Tourer, lightweight is all the go. Leanne, thanks very much, guys. Stanley, g'day, mate. Oh, Stanley's saying g'day, Leanne. That's the go there. Glenn, thanks very much there, guys, coming in. Righto, we're winding through this. And the next one is how are you going to power certain items? Now, I think fair income, nearly all of us have started with just an ice box and bags of ice and that kind of stuff. Now, it got us through, didn't it, eh? At the end of the day, it got us through, and, probably some people today are still using eskies and, bags of ice to get them through. But when it comes to summertime, fair income, they are a pain in the neck because, all your stuff gets wet inside unless you drain your esky and get rid of the excess water and that sort of stuff. But look, we've got to start somewhere. So if you're just starting out and you want to start just doing some overnighters, it doesn't matter what time of year it is. If you just want to do some overnighters, fair income, an esky with a couple of bags of ice, put some ice in before you go, and then the last town before you head into where you're going to go camping, maybe buy another bag of ice, top up your esky, and you'll be done and dusted for the whole weekend. So we're all going to start somewhere, and that is the basic way of starting, is just with an esky and a good old bag of ice. It does it works an absolute treat. So what else have I got here? So if you're going to think about maybe down the track, doing some longer stuff, maybe 2, 3, 4 days, and get into a week and beyond, well, maybe the esky's not going to cut it. So you might have to start looking about, and this is a bit of an expensive upgrade, all right? So initially, it's pretty cheap, to start out with just an esky, to put your cold goods in there just with a bag of ice. Very, very cheap alternative just to get started out. Spend a little bit of time with just the esky until you see how you go, and then upgrade maybe to what we're going to talk about right now, and that's the good old 12-volt fridge. Now, yep, I've got a 12-volt fridge in the back of my Patrol. It's been there for close on, it hasn't been in my Patrol for that long, but yes, the Engel fridge that I've got now, it is the best part of close on 18-year-old, and it's been absolutely fantastic. No promotions going on here at all, but I do like my Engel fridge. Now, if you're going to start looking at these kind of options, you start look at 12-volt fridges and all this sort of stuff, because prior to that, just with your ice box, dual batteries, all that sort of stuff, not required at all. All right, you can get by without 12-volt, without dual batteries and that sort of stuff if you're just going to use an esky for a little while, because there's no power drain on an esky, as we clearly all very well know. But you've been doing the camping now for a little while, and you're starting to really enjoy this sort of lifestyle. Now you want to go to maybe next stage, ditch the esky, keep that for your barbecues at home. Great stuff. Now you want to look at maybe doing a bit of an upgrade, and you're looking now at a 12-volt sort of a fridge to put inside your full drive. Now, these are fantastic, all right? And there's plenty of options on where you can go when it comes to 12-volt fridges. Let me give you the drum. But unfortunately, you're going to need some sort of a power upgrade to run that fridge, because you just can't run it off one battery. Because if you do, even just going overnight, there's a fair chance by the time you start that car in the morning, it ain't going to start. So you're going to need some sort of a dual battery arrangement if you're looking for putting a 12-volt fridge in the back of your vehicle. So there's, again, this is where we now start stepping up a little bit, all right? So there's a big expense to getting a fridge, because they certainly aren't cheap. And then your dual battery set up and all that sort of stuff. So you may be talking anywhere between the two of them combined, somewhere between a sort of 1,500 to $2,000 on, depending on what brands you get and that sort of stuff. Now, again, I've got a video there that shows you how simple my dual battery setup is, and it's as basic as it gets, and it doesn't need any upgrading for the gear that I run, and it works great for me. So have a look at that if you're looking for dual battery options, and then work it out as to how you go and where you go from there going up. So, and then the other thing too is, with lighting, we all need some sort of lighting, when we're sitting around camp at night, or, you're preparing meals. Again, I'm going to direct this purely for guys who are getting started, overnighters, and then we'll step up to from there. So if you're just looking to maybe get started out and, doing a number of overnight trips, there's a stack of just battery operated lighting systems you can buy now, and LED systems, in which they burn absolutely bugger all power. But you might have to take maybe a couple of spare batteries, or and make sure you charge them up before you leave home, so they're fully charged, and fitting them, they'll get you through the night, potentially get you through the night. So when it comes to lighting, there's a few options there. Just some portable stuff, nothing hardwired into your four-wheel drive or into your vehicle to get started out. So there's some lighting options there. Is just a couple of basic setups. But then when you get to, again, but now we're talking, you've been doing this for a while, you're loving the lifestyle. Now you want to go maybe to a little bit of a step up, where you want to get some hardwired lighting into your vehicle. Well, then this is where the dual battery setup comes in, because I'm just going to ring it off the top of my head, but my dual battery in my four-wheel drive, all it runs is my fridge, my inverter, my rear lights, and there's probably a couple of other things in there which I haven't mentioned, but they're three things that run off my dual battery. Well, the fridge is the only thing that runs 24/7. Other than that, my lights just run when I turn them on, and my inverter only runs when I'm charging cameras and phones and camera batteries and that sort of stuff. So you can go very, very simple. And my hot tip is, when you're talking about getting a dual battery set up, again, this is totally up to you as to how much you want to run off it. But my hot tip is, make it as simple as you need, right? Not what someone else needs, as simple as what you need. Because the thing with electrical gear, if you get it wrong, electrical gear can, cause you all sorts of dramas if it's done badly, or, can go up in smoke, catch fire, all sorts of stuff. So the most simple gear is absolutely the best gear, I reckon, where it doesn't draw a great deal of power out of your batteries. So have a look at that setup that I've got, that video that I've made about my dual battery setup, because it is very, very basic, and it runs all the gear that I need. So that's our tip. Keep it as simple as you possibly can. And the other thing too is, again, if you're going to start, base camping up, this could probably relate to some, probably wouldn't. No, we'll take that out. Again, if you're going to start, doing maybe some longer trips, now you've stepped up to, you got your 12-volt fridge running, you got your inverter running, you might be charging a few things off that. Now you got to think about, if you're going to base camp up for maybe 2, 3, 4 days or longer, now you got to think about how you're going to get power back into that second battery so it stays charged up. Well, now you got to start thinking about a bit of a solar arrangement. Now, solar charging has come a mile in the number of years, from look, mine's pretty big and bulky and heavy, which is probably not ideal, but at the end of the day, it does the job. It's 120 watt solar panel that I've got, and it does the job. But there's so many options now you've got with solar charging, and you're really going to need some sort of a solar charge, to keep that second battery charged up. Now you're running fridges and God knows whatever else, lights and all the rest of it. You can't run that all off just your start battery, because you're going to get, when you want to go home, feeding him, you're going to be calling RECV or whatever, or roadside assist to come and give you a jump start, because you're just not going home if you don't have some sort of a charging option. So a solar charging is an absolute must when you take that next step and get into your fridges and lights and stuff to recharge that second battery. Keep that one charged up. But again, have a look at my setup, because my dual battery doesn't draw power out of my start battery. But again, I explained it all out. So check that one out there with what I do there. So solar panel of some sort is going to be a must going forward when you're going to start base camping up for a number of days. But again, the price range between all of those, it's anywhere from a few $100 to a couple of grand. So it just depends on what you want and where you want to go, how much power you need, quality, all sort of stuff. But that's stuff you've got to work out, right? So do your research on solar panel charging when you're going to go to the next stage over and above eskies and ice, all right? Whew, we got 2 options to go, 2 more to go. How long have we been going? We're going for half an hour. How are we going, guys? A few of you sticking around. That's grouse. Good to see a few of you still sticking around. Righto. So now we're getting to the second last option here, and that's something, everyone's got it. You got to have a campfire. When you go out camping, you got to have a campfire to sit around and get that chair out, that comfortable chair we talked about ages ago. That comfortable chair, sit around a campfire and have a nice campfire and have a yarn with your mates and a few bevies, and away you go. But you're going to need something to cut that firewood with. Now, you can just start with just the basic bow saw. Now, I've had one of those, and they are great. Big teeth on them. You can cut some wood with that just to get a campfire going. No dramas at all. No power required. Very, very simple. Just a good old bow saw. Yep, there's a bit of effort involved with using a bow saw, but you'll still get the job going, and you'll still get a nice warm fire going. But by the time you've cut a heap of wood, well, you might be needing for a bevy after the end of it. That's probably one positive, I suppose, with using a bow saw. Or you go to the next stage, right? Now you start to talk about a bit more of a costly upgrade, whether it's going to be a chainsaw of some sort, whether it's going to be the petrol option, like what I've got still, or you start looking at the 12-volt chainsaws and feeding them. These are going ahead in leaps and bounds, but they aren't cheap either. So, again, that's where you just got to weigh it up. You just go with the old bow saw, which you might buy out of a hardware for maybe, I don't know, $80, $100 tops. It may be even less, I don't know, to maybe, your chainsaws. Good petrol chainsaw is going to be probably 600 and above, and then you're going to get into your battery chainsaws, and they're going to be, same sort of thing, 600, 700, 800, and well and truly into the $1,000 mark to get in a chainsaw just to cut a bit of wood to make it a bit easier. But again, that's something you guys have got to work out. But my hot tip, if you're just starting out, you want to dabble in the camping lifestyle, put a bit of a list together. Well, maybe just get a bow saw for a little while, because the bow saw is feeding them. If the wood's dry, the bow saws, they rip into it big time, all right? And then the other thing too, you might just want to go with that is just a bit of an axe or a log splitter of some sort like that, because, you might cut some reasonable sized logs, whether it be with your, your bow saw or your chainsaw, whatever, and you got a big log sort of like this. Well, that's not going to burn probably too well. You want to split that log into 3 or 4 maybe pieces. So get yourself an axe or a log splitter to go with that. Again, no big money involved. $20, $30 probably buy you a decent log splitter, just to split that logs up into 3 or 4 pieces. So there's some good options there as to how you get your fire going. How are we all going here, guys? We're all still rolling in here, which is great. Chainsaw is $250. There we go from Daz. That's good to hear. Now, the last one, and this is probably a really important one, right? If you're just getting started out, or you've been camping for a little while, but if you're looking to get started out, and this is one big one to put on your list, and that's a first aid kit or a personal location beacon or a PLB, which again, you've seen me plenty of times with my PLB. It's attached to my belt when I'm out there solo camping. Two absolute must. Don't ever leave home without your first aid kit, at least, and or a PLB. Because if you're going to be in remote camping, you don't have to go too far these days to get out of phone reception. And if something goes wrong, well, you can't just pick up your mobile phone and dial, 000 and call for help or whatever. So your PLB is going to be an absolute godsend. Could be a lifesaver. So two options there to really look at. If you want some information on PLBs, send us a link later on or a message later on, and I'll tell you what I use. They are absolutely life changer. No one should fair income leave home. Doesn't matter who you are, where you are, or what you're going or where you're going, without at least a personal location beacon. Absolute must when it comes down to safety. I think we've got through it all. Far out. That was unreal. Righto. So that pretty much covers my camping gear list for beginners or anyone. If you're just getting started out, that list there will fair income help you out to get started, get out there, and then just buy the basics. And like I said in the beginning, don't let anyone tell you must buy the latest and greatest stuff, because fair income, you don't need it. You absolutely don't need all the latest and greatest gear to go out there and just enjoy this beautiful bush. And in the climate we now live in, well, we just want to go out there and pull out a camp chair, get a fire going, kick back, relax, and not do a great deal and forget about the world. Well, this is a great way. This list that I put together tonight should hopefully help you get started and get you out there enjoying the bush. Now, if anyone's got any more to add to, what I've put there tonight, fair income, please chuck them in the comments down below, because I'd love to hear from you guys as to what I've maybe missed. I don't think I've missed too many, but there might be a couple. So, so hopefully I might hear from some of you guys a bit later on. But let's have a chat to you. Della, g'day, Knackers. How you going there, mate? I went and got myself a number 5 army trailer to carry all my missus stuff and install a seat in happy days, mate. How basic's that? Just gone and bought yourself a little army trailer, put all your gear in it for yourself and your wife, and mate, and away you go. How simple is basic as that? But look, if you want to step up, again, this is all totally up to you guys as to how far you want to step this up as to where you go with camping. You can spend, some limited amount, probably under a couple of grand to get going, or you can go out and spend $100,000 and buy the latest and greatest caravan and off-road caravan. And that's, again, totally up to you. No one else, absolutely no one else has got any say into what you should go and buy. Some recommendations there as to maybe what you need, but what you actually should go and get is fair income, totally up to you, because what Joe Blow might have down the road, you might look at his gear and think, oh, how fantastic that. Look at that. He's got all the latest lighting. He's got the latest fridges. He's got cook staves, got all this sort of stuff going on. And that's all great. And you go and buy it, but it might not suit you. It might not work in with your camping sort of style. So, that's what you've got to work out. So do it for yourself, not for anybody else at all. That's my hot tip is set up your gear that's going to work for you and no one else. What brand of shovel do you use? I've just got one, just a cheap one out of the hardware, mate, from Jamie there. No, nothing too expensive at all. That's for sure. It's pretty simple. It digs a hole, gets me out of a bog if and when the patrol gets stuck, which is very, very rarely. The patrol just don't get stuck. Look out, this will light it up from the Toyota people. But hey, it's just a long handle shovel, and it probably, if you went to the hardware, you probably buy a long handle shovel for 20, 30, 40 bucks, done and dusted. And hey, how good are they? You wouldn't leave home without one. Oh, Leanne, crazy big setups annoying me too long. And that's the thing. And that's probably one thing I need to add to there. Just carrying on there from Leanne's comment there, that you know, when you look at the video that I did last week on my camping setup, the easier and simpler your gear is, and the quicker it is to set up, the more you're going to want to go. You're going to want to go maybe weekly, you know, all that sort of stuff, or even more frequent than that. But if your camp setup takes, you know, an hour to set up and an hour and a half to pack up, you're going to think, oh my God, what a drag this is. Well, you know, I can't be stuffed doing this bloody, you know, every couple of weeks. Maybe we'll just go once a month. But if you can slightly reduce that camping setup down to maybe a bit less, where it's so much easier to get set up, well, you might find yourself going maybe once a week if you're lucky, or maybe once a fortnight, which is going to be a heap better than going once a month, just purely because you camp set up. So spend a lot of time on it, guys. If you're just getting started out, spend a lot of time on it. That's another hot tip, is spend Fair Income a lot of time on what you actually Fair Income need to go bush. And again, I'm going to drive it. Don't buy all the latest and greatest just because someone else says this is what you need, or someone else has got this, because it's not going to maybe work for you. So yeah, make it as simple as you can. That's the best tip you can get from anybody, is your camping setup's got to be quick setup, quick pack up, go home, and then you look forward to, great, we're going again next week, not going again, you know, next month or in 2 months' time, because Fair Income, it's just a drag to set up and pack up. 100% setups. Here we go. They're all going off. Right. What do you PLB? What do you recommend? Actually, I've the brand I've got. I haven't got it with me at the moment. Can you please, David, chuck me a message down in below, mate, as to the brand that I've got, and I'll send you a link to it, mate. Mine's great. The PLB that I've got. It's designed by a guy that was in the army, spent many years in the army. An Aussie made one too, which is even better. But yeah, send us a link, David, or send us a message, David, and I will certainly get back to you on the one that I've got. Rescue Link, I think, just rings a bell now. Rescue Link, green unit. Check them out. Rescue Link. There, David, if you're still there, mate, just check that one out. For PLBs. But look, again, when it comes to PLBs, there's a stack of options there too, you know. Like mine, you can't send messages, you can't send texts and that sort of stuff, where there's a lot of other ones which are subscription-based PLBs, but they do enable you to, you know, where you can send tracking, you know, your friends and family at home, you can leave information with them, and, you know, they can track exactly where you're going. But, you know, there's a bit of a cost with that. So, you know, some of you might think that that's fine, you know. How much do you put on your you know, safety on your life? Well, it might be a great thing, you know, but in the day, you've got to work that out too. Whereas the one that I've got, it is no subscription based. There's no extra cost. It's just under, I think, about $300, whatever it is, and the battery life runs in it for 7 or 8 years, so it works out to about $50 a year for the battery life on it. And yeah, and all it is just flick the aerial and push the button and wait, not a matter of if, but when they come. So that's how simple mine is. So again, do your homework. If you're looking into PLBs, do your homework on them. As to what's going to suit sort of your sort of lifestyle and maybe where you're going to go. You know, you might be doing a lot of really remote stuff, you know, where you might want to look at one of these subscription-based options for your PLB, where, you know, where your family can track you from day to day, and you can send messages back to them to say, yep, you know, you're here on certain day and that sort of stuff. So you can check in on that sort of stuff. So there's a lot to look at when it comes to PLBs. Don't go out and buy just the first one that comes to mind. Look at a lot of options. But yeah, that Rescue Link is one that I've got. But check out the other options between non-subscription and subscription-based ones, because there's some big benefits with the subscription-based options. Here we go. Righto, what else we going there? Shorter setup, more. Yeah, I agree with you there, Sam. Shorter setup, more drinking time, and enjoy the serenity. You know, like I said, you know, we live in Fair Income, and we are in a crap world, and today people just want to get out of this lifestyle, and when you can travel, just want to go out there and pitch a tent, swag, whatever it's going to be, camp trailer, rooftop, whatever, and just enjoy, just relax and get away from all the crap back at home. So this video that I've done tonight will be a great insight to helping those sort of guys out as to what's going on there. Mr. Donny, I've got a handheld GPS. When at camp, I set home points. There you go. There's handheld GPS, so one cannot get lost from camp. Yeah, look. If you're going to wander off, if you're going to wander off and do a lot of remote sort of wandering off, hiking sort of stuff, well, again, there's another option there. And Mr. Donny's there just sort of talked about one there. For those sort of people that like to go off and walk away from camp, and then you got to find your way back. So, that's what I say. When it comes to this sort of device, it is an absolute life changer. It can be absolute life saving, one of these devices, depending which way you go. But there's a lot of options you got to weigh up as to what you're going to do. So check them all out. Righto, guys, we might wrap this one up. This has been an absolute cracker. I hope this list that I've put together here, from camping gear list for beginners and anyone else and beyond, hopefully it's helped you guys out. And to get started, get going and camping, fair dinkum, get out there, enjoy this great Aussie bush, because there's a stack of it to explore, not just here in Vic High Country, right around Australia. And these points that I've given you tonight will help you in any one of those places. But just start out with the basics if you're just, scratching your head thinking, well, scratch my head from yet. If you're just scratching your head thinking, I wouldn't mind maybe having a bit of a go at camping, well, check this video out, because it will fair dinkum get you started. No worries at all. Good on you guys. Thanks very much for dropping in tonight. Greatly appreciate it. This is an absolute cracker. Love it. We'll catch you on the next one. Uru. Have a good week and stay safe. And for all those people, Melbourne, New South Wales, and wherever you are around Australia. Good on you guys. See you later on. Uru.